General Hospital spoilers reveal that one of the latest shocks is unfolding as Brennan is making a real adjustment in his manipulation plan, not just single blows anymore, but a long-term strategy aimed at turning Jocelyn into the perfect tool in his hands. This adjustment is evident in how Brennan is gradually changing his tactics, shifting from exploiting Jocelyn's immediate rage following Dex's death to nurturing in her a sense of higher mission and justice. Every conversation, every small task, and every compliment is carefully crafted to reinforce Jocelyn's belief that she is doing the right thing, that her actions, including murder, are justified by a greater purpose. Brennan is no longer merely a mentor or boss to Jocelyn, he has become a moral guide to her, someone she increasingly relies on to distinguish right from wrong. Brennan's decisive actions in morally ambiguous situations, his ability to justify controversial actions with the end result, have begun to seep into Jocelyn's mindset. She starts using the same logic, the same language to justify her own actions, even when talking to Trina and Cameron, her closest friends. Brennan is truly embedding one of the new traits into Jocelyn's psyche, a sense of destiny and special responsibility that only she can bear. A belief that she has a unique ability to recognize and deal with evil in ways others cannot or dare not. He subtly does this through inspiring stories about past WSB agents who had to make tough but necessary decisions to protect the innocent, always cleverly placing Jocelyn among these heroes. Brennan's manipulation isn't just limited to words. He has also started providing Jocelyn with special documents, classified files on potential threats to Port Charles and its people. Each file is carefully prepared, with enough real information to appear legitimate, but also laced with fabricated details meant to lead Jocelyn to the conclusions Brennan wants her to reach. As Jocelyn reads these documents, often late at night in her apartment, she feels as though she's entrusted with national secrets. Part of an elite group protecting the innocent from threats they don't even know exist. This is causing everything to spiral as Jocelyn begins to show signs of a new person, more confident, more decisive, but also more distant from her friends and family. She starts keeping secrets, fabricating lies to cover up her disappearing acts, and even develops a new view of the world, where everything is divided into black and white, good and evil, those to protect and those to eliminate. Carly has noticed these changes in her daughter, the way Jocelyn has become less open about where she's been and what she's done. How she can suddenly cancel family plans at the last minute due to an unspecified job, and especially a newfound hardness in her eyes when discussing certain topics. However, Carly has been mistaken in assuming this is just a sign of maturity, perhaps a result of the trauma Jocelyn endured with Dex's death and the incident with Cyrus. She doesn't realize that her daughter is being shaped by a subtle hand into a weapon. Trina, as Jocelyn's best friend, is the first to truly become concerned. She's noticed how Jocelyn becomes defensive when asked about her work with Brennan, how she will abruptly end conversations when receiving a message from him, and especially how sometimes she looks at people, as though evaluating them according to some new standard, in an attempt to discuss her concerns with Jocelyn. Trina was cut off by her friend's cold response about how there are things happening that Trina wouldn't understand, and that sometimes we have to do difficult things to do what's right. It was something Trina never expected to hear from Jocelyn, a phrase that sounded exactly like something Brennan would say. This is leading to a new shock related to the emerging obsession in Jocelyn about the crimes she has committed. Each night, in her nightmares, the face of Cyrus appears as he falls after her shot. But instead of feeling guilt or regret, Jocelyn is gradually developing a strange sense of power and satisfaction, a feeling she dares not share with anyone, even Trina or Cameron. This sensation begins to spread beyond her dreams and infiltrates her waking life. Walking through the streets of Port Charles, Jocelyn starts evaluating passers-by in a new way, seeing them as potential threats, targets, or people who need protection. She starts carrying weapons, initially just pepper spray, but recently a gun that Brennan provided for her self-defense. She practices with it regularly, feeling a strange satisfaction when she hits targets at a shooting range outside town. Brennan, with the sharp instincts of a master manipulator, recognizes this and is subtly nurturing it, suggesting that this is the natural response of a true warrior. Someone born to do things that others cannot. He has started giving Jocelyn small, surveillance tasks, following suspicious individuals, recording their activities, and reporting back. These tasks seem harmless, explained as part of her training, but in reality, they are gradually teaching Jocelyn to track and assess potential targets. This obsession is truly exploding as Jocelyn begins to see threats where she never noticed before, starts making lists of dangerous people in her head, and even begins following certain townspeople she deems suspicious, all under Brennan's subtle guidance, shaping her into an assassin right in front of her family and friends. One of the first targets Brennan has focused Jocelyn's attention on is a seemingly harmless local businessman, whom Brennan claims is connected to Pikeman. Brennan has provided Jocelyn with carefully selected evidence, photos of the man meeting with shady characters, reports of unusual financial transactions, and even a cleverly edited audio clip showing him discussing an unspecified shipment. Jocelyn has spent many nights watching this businessman, recording his activities, and gradually building in her mind an image of a dangerous villain who must be stopped. What she doesn't know is that this man is actually a business rival of Brennan, or that the shipment mentioned is a legitimate medical supply for the local hospital. All she knows is what Brennan wants her to know, and it is gradually pushing her closer to taking action. The real shock will come when Brennan finally suggests that this businessman represents a direct threat and needs to be dealt with, a vague term that Jocelyn now understands all too well. Will she cross that line again? Will she become the killer Brennan is molding her into? Or will a part of her old self, the one with strong morals and kindness, recognize the dangerous path she's walking? Meanwhile, Jason Morgan has started noticing the changes in Jocelyn. And with his natural instincts, he feels that something is off with her relationship with Brennan. He has begun following Brennan from afar, careful not to reveal his interest. What Jason has uncovered, about Brennan's true past, his plan, and the others he has manipulated in the same way, could be the key to saving Jocelyn before it's too late. The question is, can Jason reach Jocelyn effectively when she's been so deeply manipulated by Brennan that she sees all those who suspect him as threats? As this shock continues to unfold, Port Charles may have to face a terrifying reality. Jocelyn, the daughter of Carly and Jax, a promising college student with a bright future, could be turning into a deadly weapon in the hands of a master manipulator. And the cost of this transformation may be higher than anyone could imagine. The shocking story unfolds as Jocelyn is led by Brennan into a situation she could never have imagined. She will be forced to eliminate those closest to her. The process of transforming Jocelyn from a promising college student into a weapon of the WSB is entering its final and most dangerous phase, as Brennan begins to direct her attention toward targets closer to her than ever before. The most recent files he has entrusted to Jocelyn no longer target criminals or strangers, but those she knows and loves, starting with Michael, her brother. Brennan has cleverly fabricated a complex fake dossier showing that Michael is secretly collaborating with Pikeman elements, using his position at ELQ to launder money and facilitate transnational arms trafficking. The evidence presented to Jocelyn includes meticulously edited financial transactions, photos of Michael meeting with business partners that are actually entirely legal meetings, and even a doctored recording that makes it sound as though Michael is discussing illegal activities. The new obsession forming in Jocelyn, ensuring Brennan and the WSB's interests are protected, is gradually leading her to accept the possibility that even her closest loved ones may be threats that need to be neutralized. Brennan has carefully planted seeds of doubt in Jocelyn's mind, suggesting that sometimes the greatest threats to national security come from those we trust the most, and that a true agent must be willing to place duty above personal feelings. He constantly reminds Jocelyn of her great responsibility, telling her she is one of the few who has the courage to do what is necessary, and that history will judge us not by those we love, but by those we are willing to sacrifice to protect the greater good. This process of manipulation is proving to be one of the emerging disasters in Port Charles. As Jocelyn begins to follow Michael, documenting his activities and analyzing them in the way Brennan has taught her, she begins to see patterns and behaviors that she would have never noticed before. She starts interpreting Michael's normal phone calls as communication with accomplices, his business trips as secret meetings, and even his interactions with his son as cover stories. The true disaster is unfolding in Jocelyn's mind, where the lines between duty and family, between reality and delusion, are becoming increasingly blurred. Brennan is gradually leading Jocelyn to the point of no return, the point where she will have to make the ultimate decision about whether she can eliminate a threat when that threat is someone close to her. He has begun implying that the situation is escalating and that decisive action is needed, phrases Jocelyn now understands to be coded for violence. He even provides her with a detailed plan for how to approach Michael when he is alone, how to ensure no witnesses, and how to create a crime scene that will only point to WSB enemies. While Jocelyn struggles with this mission, a quiet battle is taking place between Jason and Brennan. Jason has begun to understand the full scope of Brennan's plan, not only to turn Jocelyn into an assassin, but also to use her to eliminate his personal enemies. Starting with the Corinthos Quartermain family. Jason realizes that by having Jocelyn kill Michael, Brennan would not only eliminate a business rival, but also gain complete control over Jocelyn, who, after committing such an unforgivable act, would have nowhere to turn but Brennan and the WSB. The disaster is imminent as Jocelyn, armed with a silenced pistol supplied by Brennan, prepares to follow Michael on a late-night walk he often takes around the lake after a stressful day at work. She has studied his route, memorized the blind spots in the security cameras, and convinced herself that her actions are for a greater good. She doesn't know that Jason has discovered her plan and is preparing to intervene. Unaware that Brennan is watching from afar, and unaware that the decision she makes in the next moment will shape not only her fate but the future of Port Charles. As Jocelyn hides in the dark, observing Michael approach, her hand grips the gun, and her mind spins with evidence of her brother's crimes, Brennan's whispered words about duty and sacrifice, and a vague sense that something is wrong with the situation. Will she overcome her doubts and complete the mission? Or will the true nature of who she is, the Jocelyn before Brennan manipulated her, rise up in the final moment? And if she hesitates, will Brennan be willing to finish the job and frame her? This shocking story is placing Jocelyn at the center of a potential tragedy, one that may redefine her life and leave irreparable wounds on the soul of Port Charles. And everything has gone too far to return. No matter what happens next, Jocelyn will never be the same. A new twist in the story emerges as Jocelyn begins to investigate the details Brennan has been hiding, revealing a surprising aspect of their complex relationship. Although outwardly Jocelyn still appears loyal and trusting of Brennan, she has secretly begun to harbor deeper and deeper doubts. The mismatched pieces of recent missions, the small contradictions in Brennan's stories, and especially the way he continually pushes her into dangerous situations that seem to serve a purpose beyond WSB's interests. All of this has triggered Jocelyn's natural instincts. She has started keeping a secret journal, documenting every suspicious detail about Brennan. From the secret phone calls he makes when he thinks she isn't paying attention to the times he, accidentally, lets slip contradictory information about his past. Jocelyn has even secretly copied some documents from Brennan's computer when he wasn't looking, and has begun investigating the targets he assigns her, only to discover that many of them are more personally connected to Brennan than to any real threat to national security. Jocelyn is now truly facing one of the new explosions unfolding as she uncovers an encrypted file in the documents she copied from Brennan's computer. With remote help from Spinelli, whom she secretly contacted via an anonymous email account, Jocelyn decodes the file and uncovers a chilling list, a list of future targets Brennan has planned to eliminate. On this list, she sees not only Michael's name but also Carly, Jason, and even Sonny, all marked with specific dates and proposed elimination methods. What's even more shocking is that Jocelyn's own name appears on the list, noted as the final stage, a clear indication that Brennan intends to use her to eliminate her family before ultimately eliminating her. This discovery sends Jocelyn into a temporary state of panic, as she struggles to maintain her outward normalcy whenever she encounters Brennan, while inside, she seethes with anger and fear. Jocelyn is now facing a new shock as she continues to dig into Brennan's past and discovers that he is not merely a WSB agent but also has ties to Pikeman, the organization he claims to be fighting against. Old records from Brennan's time in Pentonville, which Jocelyn obtained through a secret source, reveal that he had multiple meetings with senior members of Pikeman while incarcerated. The recordings of these conversations, though incomplete, are enough to show that Brennan is not an enemy but a secret partner of the organization. Even more alarming, Jocelyn has discovered that it was Brennan who ordered the attack on the Haunted Star, the attack that killed many and nearly took Lulu's life. Everything Brennan has told her, every ideal he claimed to represent, has been a lie designed to turn her into a tool in a personal power game. This is truly the dark explosion that Brennan is creating as Jocelyn realizes she has been manipulated into becoming his instrument. The incident with Cyrus was not a random event but a carefully staged scenario to turn her into a killer, creating an ethical crack that Brennan could exploit. Every training mission has been designed to gradually numb her conscience, every compliment has created psychological dependency. And every target has been selected to bring her closer to becoming the weapon he needs. Brennan is not a mentor or guide, he is a master manipulator using her to execute a ruthless agenda, the scope of which she is only now beginning to comprehend. Now, with the truth gradually unfolding, Jocelyn faces the hardest decision of her life, how to escape Brennan's grasp without raising his suspicions, and how to warn her family of the danger without putting them in even greater peril. She knows that Brennan is watching her every move, that he has eyes and ears all over Port Charles, and that one misstep could force him into action before she can stop him. With the clock ticking down to the day Michael is marked in the list, Jocelyn is racing against time to expose Brennan's plot before it's too late. And in the process, she must face a terrifying question: can she save her family without becoming what Brennan has tried to make her, a killer? Carly and Jason will take protective action for Jocelyn as they begin to realize the true danger Brennan is causing her, although they don't know the full truth that Jocelyn has recently discovered. Carly's strong protective instincts have been triggered by the increasingly troubling changes in her daughter's behavior. Missed calls, lies about where she's been, distant looks, and sometimes fear. These are all warning signs that Carly cannot ignore. After a tense conversation with Drew, who accidentally mentioned seeing Jocelyn in a part of town she had lied about not visiting, Carly contacted the only person she trusts completely to protect her family, Jason. Unlike previous times when Carly would react impulsively, this time she approached the situation with surprising caution. Aware that Brennan has deep connections to government agencies and may be monitoring both her and Jocelyn, Carly reached out to Jason discreetly using a series of counter-surveillance tactics she learned over the years as Sonny's wife. Their plan wasn't to confront Brennan directly, something that could put Jocelyn in even greater danger, but to set up a secret protective network around her, ensuring that no matter what Brennan plans, Jocelyn would never truly be alone. One of the crazy news stories emerging is how Jason is infiltrating Brennan's world using methods that even Sonny would have to admire. Instead of relying on brute force, his usual approach, Jason is implementing a much smarter game, using the skills and relationships he developed while working for the FBI. He secretly reached out to Spinelli, who helped him access Brennan's surveillance system, allowing Jason to track the people watching them. He also contacted old WSB sources through Anna, who, though skeptical of Jason's methods, shared concerns about Brennan. Through these efforts, Jason has started gathering information about Brennan's actual activities, his plans for Jocelyn, and most importantly, the schedule of upcoming missions he has assigned to her. This is bringing Jason closer to confirming what he has long suspected: Brennan is not just a corrupt agent, but a dangerous manipulator turning Jocelyn into a weapon against her own family. The real explosion in Jason's plan comes when he discovers the extent of Brennan's manipulation of Jocelyn. Unlike previous adversaries, whom Jason could simply eliminate with a bullet or a threat, Brennan represents a completely different challenge, a man protected by the very agencies he claims to represent, and someone who has skillfully tied his fate to Jocelyn's in a way that any direct attack on him could endanger her. Jason realizes that he needs to be much smarter and more subtle if he is to protect Jocelyn without pushing her further into danger or disturbing her process of uncovering the truth about Brennan in her own way. Jason's attack plan is unfolding on multiple fronts. First, he is quietly sabotaging some of the missions Brennan has assigned to Jocelyn, ensuring they fail in ways that can't be blamed on her. The goal is to undermine Brennan's trust in Jocelyn's abilities without increasing her danger. Secondly, he is collecting evidence on Brennan's illegal activities, not just those involving Jocelyn but also his ties to Pikeman and his role in the Haunted Star attack. Jason understands that the only way to truly free Jocelyn is to expose Brennan, not just to her but to the entire WSB and law enforcement, removing any chance he has of coming back for revenge. The most dangerous part of Jason's plan involves the moment he predicts Brennan will try to push Jocelyn to carry out her first mission against her own family, the target being Michael. Jason has set up a surveillance network around Michael, not only to protect him but to ensure that if Jocelyn actually tries to harm her brother, Jason will be there to intervene. But how to intervene is a complicated issue. Jason needs to stop any action that could harm Michael without causing psychological damage to Jocelyn or pushing her further into Brennan's control. As the date marked on Brennan's schedule approaches, the tension is rising. Carly, who often struggles with the instinct to confront Brennan directly or interfere with Jocelyn's life, is relying on Jason to remain calm. Jason, though outwardly as composed as usual, feels the pressure mounting as he realizes that not only is Michael's life at risk, but Jocelyn's very soul is as well. And in the middle of all this, Jocelyn is continuing her own investigation, unaware that her loved ones are quietly working to protect her from the same threat she is trying to expose. The real explosion will come when these three storylines, Jason's plan, Jocelyn's investigation, and Brennan's scheme, finally converge on a fateful night by the lake where Michael often walks. As Jocelyn, armed but beginning to doubt Brennan, stalks her brother. As Jason lies in wait nearby, ready to intervene, and as Brennan, suspecting Jocelyn may be wavering, prepares to act to ensure that the mission is completed, Port Charles will witness a confrontation that could reshape the future of many key players in town and forever alter the family dynamics of the SP. Insert Corinthos Morgan clan.